A very good evening to all of you. I hope all of you are staying safe, staying healthy, and staying strong. Welcome to the second session of CENTA's webinar series for teachers. This session, as you all know, is running in parallel to our regular webinar series. Or rather, this is the second session of CENTA's webinar series for parents, and this session is running in parallel to our webinar series for teachers, which, as you all know, is approaching its 100th session next week. Uh, Today's session is going to focus on the concept of financial literacy and how parents could inculcate it in their kids. I have two very special individuals who are going to be facilitating this session for us, and these and they're what they call individuals who have carved out a niche for themselves in the field of finance. And I'm going to take a minute to introduce both of them quickly. Mr. Partha Iyengar and Ms. Lisa Pallavi Barbora. Partha, who is the who's the co-founder and CEO of Your Life and Money, and he is a career that spans 3 decades in various verticals such as sales and advertising and extensive financial services in companies such as Way to Wealth and Sher Khan. If there was one achievement that warrants a special mention, it would be in 2016 when he and his team raised funds through a crowdfunded campaign to inspire 500 young college women so that they're empowered to move towards their personal and financial goals through the on-site holistic financial wellness program in Tumkur district. He's India's first financial life planner from Money Quotient, and besides also being India's first speaker at the Premier Financial Planning Association Retreat Conference that was held in April 2015. Among other career colors, Partha also indulges in regular reading and writing, and unwinding with friends, and also watching inspiring movies. Uh, Welcome, Partha. Fantastic to have you with us. Uh,
Thank you so much for
a
the wonderful
BCom,
introduction.
sure. A BCom graduate from the University of Notre Dame in Perth, Australia, and a finance postgraduate from ICFAI. Lisa Pallavi Barbora's professional experience spans 18 plus years across financial services, including wealth management, asset management, and finally, as a personal finance writer for the last 10 years. Combining her two passions, which are writing and personal finance, which come naturally to her, she now feels the need to share her ability to see through financial solutions with those who need it the most. Uh, so her venture, moneypuzzle.in, is directed towards young earners who would want to understand the why of their daily financial decisions. And Lisa also writes extensively for digital media and personal finance outfits. She's moderated finance-related panels and also been invited as a speaker, not just for financial subjects, but also as a writer. Enriching one's financial life by giving candid insights is what she strives for through her various endeavors in the field of personal finance. Great to have you with us, Lisa. And I must say that I'm a regular visitor to moneypuzzle.in, so I'm one of the regular users of your website. Uh,
You got
but
a
before
Thanks,
we
Kathy.
start,
Greeting.
yeah. But before we start, just a couple of quick housekeeping announcements for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time. Others who join us regularly already know the drill. We will be sharing a feedback form for for the session at 5:45, which is roughly 45 minutes from now. It will be shared in the live chat section. So please fill the feedback form in. It's super critical for us to know how the session went, and also in case you're looking to get your record of participation, please fill the feedback form in. It'll help us understand, or it'll help us know that you attended the session. So that's one. Second, we will be sharing a presentation shortly. And in case you have any issues viewing the content on the screen, there are a couple of things that you could do. A, you could go full screen. That should help. B, what you could also do is you could hop into the settings section of your YouTube video and try and increase the video quality. If it's auto or if it's 144p, just try increasing it to either 360 or 720 p, and that should definitely help you to see clearly what's there on the screen. That's pretty much it from my side, Lisa and Partha. I'll just set up my screen so that we can share the presentation. Meanwhile, you could get started.
Sure. Karthik, thanks a lot. And Lisa, thank you for partnering on this wonderful project. So I would like to just start with a few lines before Lisa takes over fully. What we are going to have is money conversations how can you have powerful money conversations with your children? What research has shown that it's not just financial literacy in terms of numerics, but what is important is to have that conversations very early on with your child. And the reason being behind that is it's all about the money beliefs and scripts. We are going to go a little more deeper into that. We are also going to capture some data points and share it with you. But first, I would like to start with Lisa sharing off in terms of how we are presenting this whole thing. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Lisa. Thank you.
Sure. So, hi, good evening, everybody. So, this topic of money conversations with, or financial literacy for children, it's extremely important because up until now, it's changing slowly, but world over, money is considered like this taboo subject, and I think we have to overcome that for our future generations, for several reasons, which we are going to talk about today. Through this presentation. And I think the first thing that one would like to address is why these conversations are important. What does it do for your child to actually have open money conversations? And a lot of us perhaps didn't have it when we were growing up. And, maybe we can relate to why it's important when we relate to the gaps in our own childhood and the lack of these conversations that came about, if at all that was the case. Secondly, we will talk to you about how you can have these conversations, age-appropriate conversations, to actually mold a little bit of the thinking towards gainful, towards a gainful relationship with money, rather than embracing its inefficiencies, and because there are two sides to it, and one can venture any side. So the idea is to filter through and focus on what's enhancing in these money conversations and the money attitude. So that is what the agenda is. First, we talk through why it's important, and then we talk through how you can do it with children across age groups, from toddlers to teenagers, and hopefully build money attitudes that are positive and that will help them in their future. So if the presentation is ready, then we can,
Yes.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is what you were saying, Partha, that research does show that financial behavior in children comes from childhood itself, and those are attitudes. In fact, there is interesting research which talks about financial behavior being, comes down from generations, not just parents, right?
Yes. In fact, just to add to what Lisa said, the money scripts and life scripts are imbibed right from the second trimester onwards till 7. And that's what we keep repeating in terms of the beliefs that we carry on from that 0 to 7. And we enact that in the form of decisions that we take in our life. Some of them positive, some of them negative. So if you recollect, it's not something new. This research, what it says, if you recollect, our grandparents and great grandmother have said it. When the women were pregnant, they always said, be very clear what you're talking, be positive, hear good sound, be around with good people. So these are all absolutely was pretty much imbibed pretty early on in our generations ago, actually. And science now proves that. In fact, one of the things it says also is that just because it has been imbibed, say, for example, some negative attitudes leading to behaviors, it doesn't mean that you can't change it. Epigenetics, a new field, says that you can actually change it by first getting aware and then start accepting it and taking action about it.
Right. So I think there are two aspects to this, and which is, firstly, money attitudes, whatever gets passed down, it can be enhancing or it can be limiting. And I think the job of a parent is to, like you were saying, be aware, understand that, and filter the enhancing attitudes so that it can help children ahead. The second thing is implicit versus explicit money lessons. So this is about, what we are saying right now about money attitudes being passed down is largely by observation, right? And which is the implicit money lesson. You see what your parents are doing and you kind of take it on from there. But I think now it's clear that it's not enough to do that. And there has to be support in terms of explicit lessons as well. Because often how adults deal with money and all kinds of issues related to money will be slightly different, because we have a larger, more comprehensive picture of what it means to us, right? But it's children don't have the ability to grasp that consequence. If we so let me share a little bit here, and maybe that can help understand this slightly better. When we, for example, celebrate birthdays, etc., we get a lot of gifts. We get them as adults, children get them as well. And so there is it's forming in their minds that birthdays are about receiving gifts. Now, if you want to change that attitude to, to a little bit less focus on the materialistic aspect of birthdays and say maybe introduce a level of giving, then there are two things you can do. Either talk to your child, or also go and, for your own birthdays, start only focusing on giving. But a lot of the times as adults, we are not able to do that. And so it's important to explicitly also tell your children to start thinking about giving, because you can't suddenly change your lifestyle and, include giving, say, for all your birthdays. So you need to start talking to them and start saying that, okay, if you have 1,000 rupees, which is coming through for your birthday, get something and maybe give something. So these are conversations which need to be had consciously. It's not enough just to rely on implicit learnings. And, Partha, we were talking about this earlier, and I thought it's important to share what happens. Often as parents, we focus a lot on, our child's talents, what the child is good at, etc. But we don't really focus on money matters. And just a couple of examples so that, whoever's joined also knows that how detrimental that can be. A lot of you present on in this webinar would have heard of Boris Becker, who was a star tennis player. He started playing at a very, very young age, started winning Grand Slams at, I think, the age of 17 or 19, if I'm not mistaken. And very recently, Boris Becker was declared bankrupt. He had to auction off his trophies to pay off some of his debt. Information is kind of limited on what happened, but there are some reports which say that he's not really bankrupt. He has, £4.5 million somewhere. But look, he had to sell his trophies because officially he was declared bankrupt. He didn't have anything to show. The truth is, whether he has that 4 million or not, it is really bad money management. It is bad money decisions which have led him to this. Despite being this star player, he's, led his talent to its ultimate peak, but he failed in life because of poor money decisions. There's another example I'd like you to think about, which is this lady. She's an actress and singer, Lindsay Lohan. She started her career when she was 3 years old. She started modeling when she was 3 years old. She's earned over $30 million reportedly throughout her career. I think she must be roughly about, she was born in 1986. So she is, she's 30 plus now. And she was unable I think 3-4 years ago, she was unable to pay her rent, has perhaps a net worth of 1 million, whereas she's earned so much more. So what has gone wrong here? It is money attitudes. It is money beliefs. It is poor decision-making in money matters, which has led, and there are several more examples, of course. But the point is that, your child can be good at what they do, but unless they have this complementary ability to also think about money logically, it can lead to situations in life which are really not favorable. So that is the reason that we are
Lisa,
doing
that
this.
brings to the
Sorry?
That brings to the point, Lisa, what you said. That brings to the point what you said exactly. Research also points out that
Yeah.
children who saw their parents struggling to pay off their bills early
Right.
on in their childhood, they
Right.
were repeating the same patterns. For all that we know, maybe it could be a possibility with even the celebrities' parents might have been struggling early on in their childhood. On the other hand, research also points out the explicit money lessons you can teach children is in terms of giving, budgeting, giving some pocket money to do budgeting and help them that even within that pocket money, how can you save smartly while spending smartly and giving
Yeah.
smartly. And most
Yeah.
importantly, also earn income has been proven that during the adulthood, when they trace back those kids, they are leading a fabulous life. They are not
Yeah.
only good at money management, they're pretty good across all aspects of life. So it all depends on how we teach our children in a very, very positive way, very early on in their childhood. And it has those powerful lessons, actually. Yeah.
Let's break it up. And the next thing that we want to talk about is four main reasons why it's important. We know broad picture why it's important, but let's look at the specific reasons. And if the next slide can be pulled up, please. Karthik, yeah. So money conversations build confidence, and that's true for children. It's true for adults. In children, it will help to make them more responsible and able, and be able to sort of decipher in their mind that uh, money is part of our life today, tomorrow, and forever. And it is an important part of our life. It is not about being greedy about money. It is about realizing the utility of money in our lives. And that's really the beginning of your money conversations, making children understand the utility of money in their lives. The role that parents play in this, in making children confident about money, is to have honest conversations. So when your child comes to ask you questions like, are we rich? And it's going to happen, children will compare who's going on holiday where. They are very aware, and they will come back to you with all this. That is the time, that is your opportunity to build their confidence by having an open conversation, not by misleading them, not by trying to hide, not by trying to show off, none of that. An honest conversation. What do you think about that, Partha?
Absolutely, totally true. Especially the question, are we rich, is something that's going to come up again and again at different age levels. And it's good to be absolutely honest, Lisa. What you said is bang on. We are seeing that across many age groups and across our friends and families. And also, research has shown that how to build that confidence when it comes to money conversation can be even the responsibility of the schools or any other, let's say, community for that matter, to have experiential learning brought into them, because research has shown that financial well-being can be achieved very early on in children itself by having this socialization and experiential learning. Of course, I understand right now it's corona and all that stuff, but definitely over a period of time it's possible that we can bring back into a nice classroom experiential learning session. That's
Yes.
what research has shown, which really builds that confidence level and helps in money management skills.
Yeah, I think it has to be two-way. So, the children should also be
Yeah,
encouraged to sort of express their
yeah,
views about what they think money is and how
yeah.
they think money helps. And it's not about
Yes.
managing money. I mean, that they will pick up as they grow up. But it's about understanding the role of money in our lives. I think that is the more important thing, which will help build confidence. Because if they grow up not understanding that,
Yeah.
and when they come into situations which are not pleasant, then they don't know what to do, and that is when the lack of confidence really shows up. It doesn't show up till something detrimental happens.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in this aspect, I would like to point out parents can sometimes get dismissive. I think that will crush the
Yes.
confidence. So it's good
Yes.
to have healthy conversations. Even if you don't know, you can say, hey, that's a good question. I don't know. I will read and
Yeah.
come back. I think children will
Yes.
be far more appreciative of it
Yes.
because they realize, okay, even my parent doesn't know but is willing to come back and let me know. So that also makes them aware I cannot have answers to all the questions.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so in the next slide is where we talk about the next reason, which is that many conversations lead to independent decision making. And this will come not for very young children, it will come, for slightly older children, where you start giving them the responsibility. So the first step was confidence, the second step is independent decision making. Studies show that children as young as 5 have an emotional reaction to saving and spending. And early spending behavior, as you were saying earlier, Partha, early spending behavior might be the reason for poor financial decisions later in life. We don't realize the invisible scripts that they are forming as they are observing as well. And they have these emotional reactions to saving and spending. And that is why it affects their decision making. So understanding the subject earlier in their lives can help them rely on their own decisions rather than following somebody else when they're adults, right? So a lot of adults today in the arena of their own personal finances, what I have noticed is follow what others are doing. Okay, this is the latest thing, let me also get into this, let me also invest in this property because all my neighbors are, let me also buy cryptocurrencies because that's the best thing these days. But you have to build the ability in your children to have their own decision making, to rely on their own decision based on their life circumstances. So that comes again with open money conversations. Partha, you want to add to
Absolutely,
this?
Lisa. I just wanted to take a minute. Sorry? I just wanted to share a minute of my own example that brings my own nostalgia. When I was 5 or 6, I was given a small amount of money when I was going to school, walking 45 minutes one way because I would get hungry. So those days, this is like mid 70s, I would say, was I would get 1 rupee where I can have 3 or 4 idlis or something like that. So I would spend it all. But when I look back, I'm wondering, why did I spend it all? I could have saved some money. And one of the reasons is I found out is that when I look back, is if I save it, my mother will ask the next day, have you saved some money? And she will give me lesser money. That's a powerful thing because I realized for a very long time, whatever money I had actually spent it. And the
Okay.
moment I got that awareness, the moment I got the awareness, I realized, where is it coming from? It's coming from there. It's got nothing to do with my learning or being in the financial services sector. It's got to do with my 5, 6 year old, what I was doing. So it's a very
Yeah.
powerful story. I thought I will share it. It's vulnerable, but I thought it's very, very important to share it.
See, we all learn from our childhood, and it's great to share that. And I started getting a pocket money when I was 10 years old. It was 10 rupees. It wasn't very much, but my recollection of it is that, my brother, for example, would save and buy a Rakhi gift and, a little doll or whatever. So I thought it would be great to start a pocket money for my children. And of course, in today's day and age, the value of money has changed so much. So I started with slightly more, like 200 rupees. But still, what happened is that the things they wanted to buy, I have 2 children, so both get a pocket money, and the things they wanted to buy are similar. So they discuss, and they save up for 6 months, and then they buy the things whatever they want, and they share, etc. So I started it because I remembered from my childhood that this was something that was important in our lives, and I started it with them. It is harder, I can say today. I feel, I don't know what my parents felt, but I feel
I think it's a
it's harder to
beautiful
start with
behavior they
them.
have cultivated.
But it is a
Yeah,
behavior that is very necessary. And even today,
yeah,
I mean, they are asking for something called, I'm sure, if there are parents in the group, they'll relate to it, something called magnetic balls. I don't know what it is. It seems like a completely useless thing. So I refused to pay for it. And I told them that you must save and buy it off your own selves. And I've even told them that, look, are you sure you want to buy 2 sets for each of you? Maybe, start with 1 set and see if you like it, and then use the rest of your money to buy another set. So these are the kind of decision making that we are talking about. That if you have these
right.
conversations early on, you can actually nudge your children to make decisions that are beneficial for them, not just now, but in future as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that leads us to the next reason why we are saying that money conversations are important. Again, it helps children, it helps them avoid money mistakes as they grow older. So the earlier in life children understand the power of saving, the greater benefit that they can get as adults. And also the understanding that spending money comes with accountability. And this is exactly what you were saying, Partha, with your own example.
Yeah,
um,
yep,
that understanding the power of saving, it took you to spend money to
absolutely.
that it's not just spending all the time but also saving that matters.
Yeah, it took me
And
decades, Lisa, to
yeah,
understand this and then start saving. Yeah. And
and
there's
there
also
is a
interesting study.
yeah.
You wanted to talk about this, right? We were talking about the particular book Ron Lieber had written about. Uh, it's a very interesting thing. Maybe you want to share that with the audience?
So yeah, so it's so Ron Lieber is a he has written this really interesting book for parents actually, and where he talks about this idea of, are we raising materialistic children? And he says that the more we spend on children to enhance a certain behavior. So, for example, if you're sending them for particular sport or for music, and there is this you pay for the lessons, etc., and there's this pressure that builds up on children. The higher the discontent, because they and as parents, what we tend to also do is talk a little negative about money, and I'm kind of guilty of that myself. This is, I am spending so much on this, and here is what you're doing, nothing, etc. So that is also something that we have to watch out for, because what it's doing is it's creating discontent in children, it's building up the pressure. um, and it makes for reckless kind of attitude going ahead, because then it says that, okay, uh, uh, the more I can keep underperforming, I can keep being not good at something, and my parents will have my back, because we are pushing our children to do this, to do that, and we are
Yeah,
spending money, and we're putting pressure, and they're not able to live up to that pressure, and but we are doing even more and more and more. And that's when it leads to reckless behavior in money, when they grow up and they know that, okay, it's okay, I have done badly, but I'm going to go back to my parents because they will take care of me. It's okay, I have spent my money in something useless, or it's okay, I have indulged in some kind of really risky trades. It's okay that I've borrowed their money and invested it thoughtlessly, I'll just go back to them. So this is again something that we have to try and sort of talk to them about, try and be conscious about. It is not about teaching them to manage money per se, it is about building positive attitudes towards money, and our own behaviors, sort of being conscious about our own behaviors in doing that. And I think one of the money scripts that
yeah.
you were
In
talking
fact,
about, part, the whole idea of
yeah,
worship, that also comes in here.
yes, absolutely. The money worship is what it reflects. In the sense, what is money worship is nothing but money worship means the more money I have means the more I'll be happy. We all know happiness is internal, it's not external. And I would like to just point out something interesting I watched on Independence Day. Zero Das Nitin Kamath had given a beautiful interview. It's just hardly 5 6 minutes. Please go and watch. It's in Money Control. He has talked about how during his early adulthood, that is at 18 19, he started trading, he made some money, and then his all his materialistic aspiration was from one Rolex to the next goods to luxury goods to
Right.
everything. After a point, he realized that, what am I chasing? I don't need to do all this. All I want is the financial freedom to do and pursue what I want to pursue. For that, I don't need any
Yeah.
more materialistic stuff to prove that I'm better than the other person. So it's a
Right.
beautiful, beautiful interview. Just go watch it. It's a very close home reality. And you all know who is Nitin Kamath of Zerodha. At a very young age, he's built a phenomenal startup called Zerodha, so you can check it out.
And I think as soon as he was, his actions also speak, because as soon as he was able to give back, he has that foundation
Yeah,
which he has created, where,
yeah,
and he did a lot in the pandemic as well, when the whole crisis with the oxygen cylinders, etc., happened. So I think,
yes, yeah,
there is a conscious behavior that he is also following as far as money is concerned. And, some of it perhaps comes from what he has experienced in his childhood. Okay, so the
yeah,
last reason, and
absolutely
this one
true.
I think we will all agree with, very much, why we should have money conversations is because it helps to bring the family closer. So it is not about finding time in the day, or allocating a 1 hour to talk to your child about money or anything like that. No, these are daily conversations, and it happens when you're sitting around the dinner table. If you are going through something which is a struggle at the moment, you don't have to share all the monetary details, but it is good to share your own successes and failures with your children, to the point that they can understand. In the next few slides we will talk, age appropriate, what is good to sort of talk to children about. But the idea that they are part of a family, the idea that can be built further through having these conversations as part of your daily lives. They don't feel sort of left out. They don't feel it's a taboo subject. And they, even in their adulthood, when they make mistakes, if they make mistakes, they will feel comfortable coming back to you and talking to you about those mistakes openly rather than hiding. So I think this is perhaps a very important aspect to having these money conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think what Lisa spoke is, I would say, in one word, transparency. And I thought I will share the small example of Ron Lib, what he did to his family of kids to show them what's the value of money. He took once his salary, he broke it up into $10 bills. He went to the bank. Ron Lieber is a New York Times author and a journalist in New York Times as well. New York Times number one author, as well as he's a writer in New York Times. So he took his entire month's salary in $10 bills in a sack. So what he did was he went to the dining table. He just turned it upside down. The children were like absolutely excited. They said, "Wow, you make so much money." And he said, "Wait." Then he took out the money. He said, "First is okay. Some part goes towards giving. Some part goes towards, the EMIs that he pays towards the housing. Some parts towards the education for his children, and then some part towards the expenses for the household, and then some part towards the car loans that they have. And then finally, they were left with, every time the slice went, smaller and smaller, and they were left with a small amount of money. The children realized it's not about, having so much as money coming in. What do you do with the money in terms of income, saving, spending, and giving? And it is very, very important to manage all that very importantly and not to get carried away. And by doing that one powerful exercise, he was so transparent. He was able to explain the kids that, you know, when I say no, you know why I'm saying no to certain purchases that you want right now. That right now is basically your wants. So that's, I'm saying no is because of this.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think Lisa has also got through that particular case study, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very pertinent to all our lives. That trying to segregate this and it's such a good way to sort of make children understand that what looks like a lot of money is has utility in various
Yeah.
aspects of our life. It is not just for wants, and that's a brilliant way to put that point across. Okay, so now in the next few slides we talk about age appropriate conversations. At what age should you start? And really, it's never too early. Partha had mentioned earlier the second trimester. So, right from the womb, you can start talking to children about money. I mean, don't make it your life's goal to do that. But the point is that don't shy away. I think that's the
Yeah.
real thing. Studies have shown that
Yeah.
children don't relate to the arithmetic aspect of money till slightly later. So, 6, 7, 8 years old. But definitely, you can, talk to them about utility, I think. Yeah, Partha?
Yes. For example, taking them to the shops and asking them to pay, asking them to get the right balance. You know, even if they make some mistake, it's perfectly fine. But they understand how to deal with the currency, number one, and they understand what's the money that's going, what's the money that's coming back, and
Yeah.
they observe all that, and they're pretty good at
Yeah.
that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So the screen has gone off, but on the next slide, we are talking about. Um, So I'm not sure what's happened because the screen is not
Two to
there. But
seven
on the next
years.
slide,
It's two to
yeah, 2 to
seven
7 years.
years.
We're talking about 2 to 7 years, which is
Yeah.
the ideal age to actually build the concept of utility in money. So we are not talking at this time about saving money. We are not talking about any kind of decision making with money. We are just talking about what is the value of money, and what is it that it does for us in our lives. This is also a time where your children will put a lot of demands. You take them to shops, they will want next candy, the next toy, and everything. And it's okay
Yeah.
for you to say that it's maybe it's a bit expensive, or for you to say that, look, I have just bought you this. Why don't you play with this for some time and see if you want the next one? So don't get into every demand. Explain why it's good or it's not. Or why you can maybe an alternative to something that they're demanding, which may be too expensive. Don't be shy of saying that it's expensive. Now we did this, Partha and I. We did this kind of a little uh, 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 sort of thing where we went and spoke to children of age group between 5 to 10 about what they thought money is, and what was the use of money in their lives, etc. So the 5-year-olds, the 4, 5, 6-year-olds, it was really heartening to see that their idea of money was bang on. It was money is needed to buy things, and mostly, while they did add in ice creams and toys, but they also spoke about buying vegetables, for example, which are good for us. And they also spoke about their parents working. So these are so they have this. See, children are born curious. They are not born with the idea that money is a taboo subject. It is that over. If you're living with your parents for 18 years or 20 years and you never have had a conversation, then you'll start to think that, oh, okay, it's probably not right to have this conversation. But if from the age of 2, 3, 4, 5 you start asking your children, what do you think about money, and they have an answer, then they'll know that it's okay to ask about money, to talk about money. And these kids, they knew exactly what the utility of money was. It was to buy vegetables. It was what mom and dad get paid in office. All of those things these young kids knew. So building the concept of utility, this is the perfect age. We are not going to complicate anything at this age, but I think keep it to what money does in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And also one can go to the Sammy Rabbit Money School. Just Google Sammy Rabbit Money School. There are plenty of resources you can use to teach kids. It's very experiential learning, like what we said. And this has been developed by someone who has been doing it for now almost 25 years and impacted 300,000 kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So simple things like, like you were
Yeah, so
saying,
we go to the next.
yeah, we can go to the next. Okay, so middlers, so 8 to 12 years.
Do you want to add
Yeah,
something, Lisa?
no, I was just saying that, one can do at that age, one can do simple things like sending, you take them with you for buying things, just give them the money. You don't pay for it, give them the cash or the
Yes.
card, whatever it is, take them to the
Yeah.
ATM, let them take out money. But remember, the ATM is a tricky
Absolutely.
one because they shouldn't think that it's free money coming from somewhere. It is money that
Yeah.
you have put in that is coming out. So that certain things
Yeah.
can be tricky, but let them experience physically,
Yes.
because at that age children are still developing their all kinds of senses, and all touch is
Yeah.
also a very important sense, that it's not something, although we are
Yes.
moving to digital money, so there's going to be no touch very soon, but let them understand the concept through all senses, not just
Yeah.
seeing and hearing about it. Okay, so middlers,
Absolutely.
conversations around value of money can start now. So where we are talking about saving, spending, giving, all those conversations can start at this stage. Earning for what you desire. There are different ways in which parents can choose to imbibe these. Some parents choose to explore the area of chores for children. I know a mother who's in this pandemic struggling with her children, not clearing up behind them, just leaving things everywhere in the house, and children are home the whole day, so every room gets cluttered. So she put in a system where she said that for everything that they clear up of their own, she would give them 5 rupees or something, and for everything that she had to clear up of theirs, she would take away 2 rupees or something like that. So this was, these are kind of things which you can do perhaps at this age where they're learning. There are other things that you can do as well, and this is the age where are we rich kind of questions will come up. So you also have to tell them the importance of saving very much, and the best way to do that is pocket money, is physical jars where they are saving money, where they use saved up money. Encourage them to use it as well to spend, because it's not that you're saving and you're not doing anything with it. They see a pile of money, encourage them to use it as well towards their own spending, towards. So in that video that I was talking about earlier, there were 10-year-old kids as well, and the difference between what the 5-year-old said and what the 10-year-old said about what is money was and how it's useful. The 10-year-olds were clued into this idea that money can be used to spend for things that they want, and money can be used for charity, for giving. So that idea has already set in their
Exactly.
minds that you can share. So this is
Yes.
the right
Yes.
age, 8 to 10, where you are sort of
Yeah.
talking through these concepts. And I think, Partha, you had
Yeah.
that
In
pilot
fact,
session
our
as well.
pilot projects, remember, yeah. In fact, that's the one I was reminded of. Our pilot projects proved this age group had phenomenal success in terms of going through our workshop for sessions, and we found that they were pretty good at earning income, pretty good at saving and investing, pretty good at spending smartly, and pretty good at giving as well. And all of that overarching thing was driven by dream big, the most important, develop habits towards
Right.
dreaming big, and then set goals and action plans to achieve it. Yeah, so we found that very, very interesting. This age group, like what Lisa said, it's a good age group to inculcate a lot of values and practices, and they really absorb. Like I've seen, like what Lisa said, the 10-year-olds also understand the concept of giving as well as spending and saving. It's a lovely space to be in, actually.
And I remember in one of those sessions with Sammy Rabbit, there was this idea of, okay, dreaming big and you want to go somewhere. And one of the kids tells, these are basically storybooks that he's reading out. And one of the kids tells the other that, one asks him that, how are you paying for it? And the kid says that, my parents are giving me the money. Now, this child who wants to go really doesn't have that luxury of parents being able to afford it. So he goes back to his parents, and they come up with ways in which he can actually earn and fulfill his dream. I think it was of going to space or something like that. It's a fantastical story, but the point is that these are the comparisons which will come up, because some kids will say that, look, everything is parent driven, and if that is not the way you want to go with your child, then you actually have to consciously build that in at this, and this is perhaps the right age to begin.
Absolutely. One of the key things that, Lisa, you remember that story was about the want. It's a want, and the parents are willing to have conversation, and they're saying, okay, I'll put in 50%, you earn 50%. So I think we can build that healthy conversation and not say no. It's the child's want. We can fulfill it, but we can say, I will pitch in 50. You decide how you want to pitch in 50. So that's where Lisa was talking about the earlier example of the mother giving those little chores, and they did it and she paid for it. It's a great way to do it, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so the next slide is where we come to our young adults, which is 13 onwards. And this is where we go into fourth gear with money matters and with children. And this is where you can really drill in the idea, not just of saving, because saving is good, but it's not enough. We all know to overcome the perils of inflation and to create a good pool to survive in future, we need to invest our money. And this is the time that you can start talking to your children about that. Nowadays, there is so much available to do it. You can open bank accounts, you can open investment accounts in minor names. So all of that can start filtering in at this stage. Encourage them to save, invest. Let them make their own decisions about where they want to invest, about how they want to do it, and show them. You can actually show them the account, and you can show them how money is accumulating in that account. That is the other thing, and earning for what they are earning money, discouraging credit. These are all things that can actually filter into this age group, because they are able to do those calculations, they're able to see the impact, and they're able to absorb it very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you were talking about Warren Buffett's example, right?
So Warren Buffett started investing at the age of 10. So for those who are not aware, Warren Buffett is one of the most sort of revered financial professionals in the world. He is considered the best investor over the years. But the reason he's a good investor is not because of anything else, primarily because he started really early in life. And of course, someone showed him the reins, may not be his parents or whoever. I don't know the story behind that, but someone did. Recently, I had the pleasure of having a very interesting conversation with an entrepreneur in India. There is a company called Small Case, again, Bangalore-based. And this gentleman, Vasant Kamath, is the CEO of the company. And I was asking him about his childhood experience. And he seemed to have a really positive attitude. He started investing at the age of 22, maybe not with his first salary, but soon after. And he had seen his parents invest, use their shares and money they got from the, selling the shares to sort of build the house, etc. So he had this kind of positive reinforcement, and he started right away. I didn't. I'm not saying that my parents are to blame for that, but I'm just saying that, there are certain ways in which we can enhance the learning experience for our children at an early age. And if we have the advantage of knowledge, if we have the advantage of information, then why not do it? And young adults, teenagers are so well equipped to grasp these concepts.
Yeah.
So the last thing
We
that
come to the
we want to
last.
talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry,
Go
Partha,
ahead.
you wanted to say something?
No, I just said we have just come to the last few minutes just to
Yeah.
keep
So this is
everyone
the last
posted.
slide
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the
Yeah.
last thing, last couple of slides. So importance of giving and
Yeah.
sharing, we've been talking about throughout the presentation. So I don't need to maybe talk too much on this point. But the fact is that this is one thing that can be done through the ages. You don't need to, bucket this into any one age group. It has no starting or ending age limit. It starts simply by sharing amongst family members, siblings. Talk to your children about any kind of external giving that you are doing. It doesn't have to be just a check that you're cutting and it's going. Talk to them about it, why you're doing it, what is the thought process, why are you donating to an environmental issue, or why are you donating to an orphanage, whatever it is that you may be doing. So this is a very, very important part of our money lives, and sooner or later it doesn't have to start early, but it definitely warrants a lot of time from us, for our children. Okay, so the very last slide.
Lisa,
And
before you go,
yeah,
I
sorry,
just want to point out for a second. I just
yeah,
want to point out for a second, if you go back to that slide, uh, it's very important that we cultivate. What I'm seeing is it's most important, and it also shows in our beliefs and scripts, is the abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset. I have seen many people having that scarcity mindset, even if they have 1 crore, 2 crore, 3 crore, whatever be the money, there's a scarcity mindset. But when you have the abundance mindset, what happens is you are giving and giving and giving. When you're doing that, you're going to receive and receive and receive. So it's important that as parents, we cultivate ourselves the abundance mindset and also pass on that abundance mindset. It can happen implicitly, beautifully, anyways, but also in explicit ways, the abundance mindset by, giving. It's not necessary giving has to be like what Lisa said in the form of money. It can be in the form of giving information. It can be in the form of giving time, or just a smile to start with. That's good enough. And so it's very, very important to build that abundance mindset across. It's not just got to do with money.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the very last thing, and lest we get carried away in all this money conversation, and lest the children start thinking that this is the end all and be all. It is not. Money is just a means. It is not an end. And this is what you were saying, Partha. How much is enough? Money cannot buy happiness. That is within us. And so we have to balance out the conversation and not lead, any kind of sort of even the greed and the money worship becomes negative then. And you had a very interesting data point to share on this.
Yeah, there was a research in the US conducted by Daniel Kahneman, the famous author who wrote Thinking Fast, Slow with few others. He found out that money beyond $75,000 earned as an income in the US on an average did not provide happiness to people. This is money beyond $75,000 as income per annum on an average by an American just did not get them happiness beyond $75,000. So money is important. The question is, like what we are saying is, how much is enough is something you will need to decide, because beyond a certain point it doesn't. That's what Zero Das Nitin Kamath also says in the interview. You can watch it. Beyond a point, it just didn't make any sense to him. He said, what am I deriving out of it? I'm not getting happiness out of it. The next Rolex, the next Benz, or whatever it is, but something else, which is internal. So we are leaving you with that thought that, money just cannot buy happiness. Yes, money is definitely needed. Question is how much.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah, and do you want to show that quote? That quote is a very important quote, I thought. Maybe you can say it.
On the last slide. Yeah.
Should I read it? Probably.
Yeah, please. I don't think I have it.
Yeah. So there's a famous quote by Dave Ramsey. Yeah, I think Karthik is able to get it out. Looks like. Yeah. This
You've got
says
to
it
tell
all.
your money.
You got to tell your money what to do or it will leave. Yep. Absolutely a brilliant quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your patience, all you participants. We really enjoyed doing this. Hope you enjoyed it. Uh,
Yeah.
Lisa and I
If
had
there
a
are,
fantastic conversation, and we are open for questions.
yeah,
Please
if there are
shoot
any.
if you would like to. And thank you, CENTA, for the wonderful opportunity given to us. It was a pleasure
Thanks a lot. Yeah, this was
doing
a
this.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and thank you so much, Partha. I
Thanks a lot for the entire team.
Sh- Sure. We'll see if there are any questions, but just a quick announcement for those looking for the feedback form. We've shared it multiple times in the live chat section. So, in case you've not filled it yet, please go ahead and fill it in. The question is we have a question from Ms. Saraswati Hiramat, and Saraswati Ma'am is asking would the idea of piggy bank work with kids? That's her question.
Partha looks
Lisa, you want
okay.
to
There
go
he
with
is.
it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely, it works for children. The idea, I think, one has to begin with a piggy bank for sure, um, and you can start as early as 4 5 years even, where they're collecting coins and keeping it in. I'd just like to share a little anecdote here with my own two children. But what I tried, piggy banks work very well, right? And I think Ron Lieber says in his book that you can even divide it up into a saving piggy bank, spending piggy bank, and a giving piggy bank. Whenever you feel your child is ready to grasp these, extended concepts, begin with the saving one because that's the easiest to do, and then add on. I'll tell you a little bit, small anecdote. I have two boys, and I started the whole piggy bank thing, and one of them got so excited that wherever he found 10 rupees or 5 rupees or any coins or small change lying, he would come and ask me, Mama, can I pick it up? Can I put it in my piggy bank? Can I put it in my piggy bank? And I was very happy. But the other one just didn't. And I noticed that, he would see all this money lying around and he wouldn't be bothered. So I asked him, like, what, your brother is so proactive and he realizes that, money shouldn't be lying around and he can save it and add to his bank, a piggy bank balance. Why not you? And he said, oh, I just don't think about it. So I started encouraging him to, when I found that, things are lying around, and, I started encouraging him, do you want to put it in your piggy bank? And this is when we, what we spoke about earlier, implicit versus explicit. So for one child, it was, implicit in his own behavior, and for the other, explicitly, one has to make these conscious decisions. So piggy bank is a great idea. You can extend it to the spending, saving, giving, or you can start just with the saving.
I think Partha is dropped off. Maybe he's facing some
I think he'll
connectivity
come back.
issues.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Sure. There's a comment from Miss Chandrika Ari, and Chandrika ma'am is saying minor account is a very good suggestion, and when a child sees the message of a credited amount in his or her account, he or she feels the same happiness that we do when we get our salary. And
Absolutely.
there's a good vibes emoji that she's put in with it.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I can't agree more. And I've done this for my children. I have opened their accounts and I have started investing from that account. And they were so quick to catch on that, the interest credit in one was in the bank account was less than the other. And they said, why is that? Because they know that the amount went in the same. It was because the other account took a few days more to open for some strange reason. But uh, children are very, very good at picking these things up, and the earlier they pick it up, it's so interesting that they will know what is happening. So it's a great idea to open a bank account.
And there are a couple of queries from Ms. Ripriya, Mr. Karunakar, and Mr. Vikas on the name and the author of the book that you mentioned
I
about.
think we
And
can type it in. Can we type it in? Is that a possibility?
you could type it in the private chat, Lisa, and I could pick it up and post it in the comment section after that.
All right, so I'll just type it in. No problem. It's called The Opposite, for those who want to write it down. It's called The Opposite of Spoiled. That's the name of the book. The author is Ron Lieber. That's Lieber. Anyway, I've sent it to Karthik as well. So.
Sure. And lots of teachers from Philippines and Nigeria have joined us today. And Ms. Vissel Albano, she says that for her children, she taught them to save on the piggy bank, and that's where she started. So
yes,
they completely resonate with
that
this.
is a great start.
There's a question from Ms. Lata Dhruv. We're over time here, so it's 3 minutes past 6. But if you find, we'll probably take a couple of more questions. There's a question from Ms. Lata Dhruv, and she's asking: isn't teaching at young age would that encourage jealousy or division in groups? I think that's what she's trying to ask. Would teaching this at a young age, would it encourage jealousy or division?
I'm not sure if Partha is there. He seems frozen again, unfortunately. Okay, so let me pick it up.
Go, Lisa.
Yeah, are you there? Because your picture is frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pick it up and then Partha, you can add. Yeah.
Lisa, you go ahead.
Yeah. So sorry, it was the question of jealousy and division. No, I think it's the opposite.
Go ahead.
Because you are actually addressing their curiosity. Again, children don't come with these, these ideas of jealousy and somebody's better, etc. Children are they're just curious. They want to know, and there is no, there is no harm, there is no shame in saying that somebody else has more than you, or you have more than somebody else. But it is what you do with that more or less. If today you have less than enough, then there are ways to make money grow, there are ways to build your wealth, and that is the discussion that will come after the realization that somebody else is doing better. So let me, you can work harder, you can work smarter, you can invest your money. So all that leads to the value of money growing in your life. If you have a lot, if you have too much and you feel that somebody else doesn't have enough, and there is this arrogance about money, then that can be toned down as well by having this conversation and by talking to them that money is not everything. And if you have more than somebody else, then somebody else has more than you, and there's no end to it, right? Unless you're Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or Elon Musk or whatever. But even they are so invested in giving, etc. So no, I don't think it imbibes jealousy. It is how you approach it. And if you approach it in a balanced manner, then the only answer really is what to do with that information, and whether you use it for the benefit of others or against others.
And we have a question from DCCHD. And of course, we spoke about SammyRabbit.com and how useful it would be as a resource for kids. DCCHD is asking, can you share any apps or websites that give knowledge to beginners about investment in shares and mutual funds?
Okay. Lisa, you want to go ahead? Am I frozen? Am I better?
No, you're audible now. So there are a lot of data sources. I would encourage you to go onto my own portal, moneypuzzle.in, where you'll find a lot of articles, a lot of interactive videos, etc., around the ideas of saving, investing, planning. Unfortunately, there are no curated sources. There is no list that is published or available, and it's kind of hard to talk about it in that sense. But for adults, I can say, if you get in touch with good advisors, then that will help sort of enhance knowledge in this area. Good financial advisor.
And
I could also point out to if one is really wanting to learn the basics and foundations of it, one can go to our site, which is in Your Life and Money. There's online course. There are mini courses. One can look at it. And Lisa puts up some interesting articles for us at WFAN. It's just very, very simple and easy to understand. So one can pick up a lot of stuff there. It's all curated content. So there's one place you can go as Money Puzzle, you can go to us. And of course, you have lots of other places too. Yeah.
Yeah.
This could possibly be the last question of the day, and this is from Ms. Swati Bose. And I think what Swati ma'am is trying to ask is how should parents go about investing the children's savings? So if children have built, created a pool of savings, what should or how should parents be guiding them, or what should be the avenues in which those savings could be invested in?
Okay, great. Lisa, you want to start with that?
You take it, Partha, please.
Yeah,
I think you're best equipped. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I think both of us can add to it. So, the moment the child is born, I would always advocate the day the child is born, start with a PPF account because it gives you an edge in terms of power of compounding. First is 15 years, then you can add on extensions of 5 years. This will help as part accumulation for your child's education. The other part is you can, in your name, take it as a guardian, and the children can be actually minor, and you can start, say, a couple of years down the line in mutual funds, which is a good indirect way to accumulate shares, which is basically for wealth creation. Again, you are
Yeah.
doing this for the purpose of probably for a long term for your child's education, or even for doing something for maybe your child wants to be an entrepreneur at some point of time. So these are simple ways. Apart from this, first go to a place where you know already. It could be bank FDs, it could be RDs, it could be any of the post office savings scheme. So start from where you already know, gather some information. Then I would suggest get into equity through equity funds because that creates a long-term wealth creation. And today, a lot of information are available. And one of the simplest routes you can take is look at if you know what is BSE Sensex, if you know what is Nifty 50, you can just invest in a fund which is mirroring that. And there are plenty of them available. You can search in the newspapers and you will get it. And it will give you more or less equivalent return of that. But please be sure that you are investing for 10 years plus, not less than that if you are investing in equities. Lisa, you want to add to it?
No, I think you've covered it all. Begin by what you know best, and then move to wealth creation kind of products.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you
I
so
think
much
we've
for
covered.
asking. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've taken most of the questions. Thank you once again, Lisa. Thank you once again, Part. Fantastic session,
Okay.
and
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to be coming back to you with a request for another session shortly. But thank you so
Sure.
much. Thank you once again,
Thanks a lot,
and
Karthik, for hosting
Yeah.
us,
Thank you
and
so
really a
much,
pleasure to
Karthik.
do this.
sure, sure. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you so much,
Thank you
and
so
thank you
much for the
once
whole
again.
center team. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure doing it.
Sure. And thank you to all of you who attended the session live on a Saturday evening. We usually have a session on Thursdays, but thank you so much for taking our time on a Saturday
Yeah.
evening and attending the session live. As always, please like and share the video in your networks. I'm sure parents and teachers in your networks would find the session really useful. We're going to be doing more of these sessions, and registrations will always be open on my center m.center.org from the mobile browser. We have so there's one thing, we're not going to have our usual session next Thursday. We're going to be having another session on Saturday, which is going to be the 100th session of our webinar series for teachers. And it's going to be a special session, and we're going to be celebrating the profession of teaching. Registrations, again, are open on my center. So please go ahead and register yourself, and ask your friends and colleagues to register as well. That's going to be a special session, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So thank you once again, and I hope all of you take the necessary precautions. You stay safe, stay healthy, and yeah, I look forward to seeing all
Thanks.
of you again on Saturday. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, all viewers. Thank you very much. Stay safe
Thank
and
you.
healthy. Bye.
Bye. Bye.